Good evening and Happy New Year to everyone. I would like to welcome you to the Roselle Park Board of Education 2015 reorganization meeting. This meeting is an open session of the Roselle Park Board of Education held under the Open Public Meetings Act of the State of New Jersey. Notice of this meeting was sent to the Star Ledger, the local source, the Home News Tribune, the Borough Clerk, school offices, and the district website. I will now call the roll. Mr. Balaban, Mr. Bruckenstein,
Here.
Mr. Dan,
Here.
Mr. Gurton,
Here.
Mr. Harms,
Here.
Mr. Miller, Mr. Nelson,
Here.
Ms. Sokol, Mr. Vita.
Here.
We do have a quorum. Would you please stand for the flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to announce the results of the school board election. We're fortunate to have two incumbents returning to the Board of Education, Mr. Jeffrey Miller and I just created a new person. Mr. Jeffrey Vita and Mr. Christopher Miller. And we'd like to welcome to the board our new board member, Mr. Roderick Bauman. And I hear that we have some special congratulations to give him as well. Not only is he now a new board member, shortly to be, but he's also, again, a new additional father. This is baby number 3. Okay. So at this time, I would like the newly elected board members, Roderick, Christopher, and Jeffrey, to join me up front for the swearing in of the new board. paperwork, and I have something to give you from the County Board of Elections. Mr. Balaban? Mr. Bauman?
Here.
Mr. Bruckenstein?
Here.
Mr. Dam?
Here.
Mr. Gerton?
Here.
Mr. Harms?
Here.
Mr. Miller?
Here.
Mr. Nelson?
Here.
Mr. Peden?
Here.
And once again, we have a quorum of the new board. At this time, I'm going to open the floor to nominations for board president.
I nominate Mr. Miller.
Is there anyone who will second that nomination? Do I have any other nominations for board president? Hearing none, then I will close the nominations for board president and ask if everyone is in favor of approving Mr. Miller as board president of the Roselle Park Board of Education. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. So congratulations, Mr. Miller.
Thank you.
And I will gladly give up this seat and this job to you.
Before I continue, I'd like to thank the Board of Education for my nomination and position of president for this next year at the Board of Education. I'm very excited to continue to work not only with Mr. Brito, but also with the Board of Education. We have a great team here, and we have a wonderful addition as well. So unfortunately, we say goodbye to Ms. Sokol, but we have a fantastic team that we're working with as we move forward and help move our district forward as best we can. With that, I'd like to now take nominations for Vice President of the Board of Education. I would like to nominate one of the hardest working volunteers in Roselle Park, and that would be Mr. Lauren Harms for Vice President of the Board of Education. Second. Second, Mr. Dan. Are there any other nominations for Vice President? Seeing that there's none, we'll close the nominations for Vice President. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Congratulations, Mr. Harms, for Vice President. I forgot how to hit that gavel part of this first section. Good job with that. Now I'd like to start with our first public participation portion of the evening. And that would be for agenda items, reorganization agenda items only, is numbers 3 through 18. If you have a question concerning any of those items, please come forward, state your name, address, and what item you'd like to talk about.
Slow Cares on 150 Berwyn Street. With regard to the appointments in agenda item 3, are any of these appointments salary or stipend?
Well,
All, some, most?
a few. School physician, of course, is paid for his time. Treasurer of school monies is a small stipend. Superintendent, of course, has a contract and a salary. School business administrator likewise has a contract and a salary. And that is it.
And not to pick on you, especially, but as investment purchasing officer, there's no additional.
No additional stipend for that responsibility. It's part of the business administrators.
It's just a position, I guess.
Yes.
With regard to 5 and 6, Just offhand, do you know if there were other bidders?
This did not go out to bid.
What law is that, or what regulation is that?
It's a professional service and is not required to go out to bid.
And the architecture has no fee, because I guess it's on an as-needed basis.
Correct. And if there was a need, you would see that in the future.
Thank you.
Seeing there's no one else, we'll close the first public participation portion of the meeting for those reorganization agenda items, 3 through 18. Yes. Oh, pardon. It's a late move there, Jake. Good evening.
Jacob McGarrett, 6 12 Sheraton Inn, Roselle Park. Ladies and gentlemen, the audience, viewing audience, members of the board, Mr. Burrito, congratulations to Mr. Miller. Mrs. Gershon, you sign.
Caught me.
We made a change.
Very good observations, Phil. Thanks.
First of all, were there any closed session items that any action was taken on?
Never is not.
Secondly, tonight, present is Councilwoman at large Charlene Story. She's sitting in the front. And didn't have time to read the agenda because it was inside.
No, it was outside that
It's
hall.
on this side of the building. We were on that side of the building. But you didn't put it,
You should have told me, Jake, which staircase.
each time I come, my personal complaint is this. Each time I come to the schools, the grammar schools and the middle school, you come to the front door, you gotta go around the side door. You come to the side door, you gotta go around the front door. Can we be more specific in your announcement or on the website? Left side door, right side door, so we don't have to go up and down, up and down.
Well, why don't we just say for now, for the record, if it's okay with everybody else, we just do front door at all times.
There is a particular odor here.
We are in a gym.
Maybe I slow myself. And Mrs. Gershon, was there an update on the stadium bleachers?
It's not an
Yeah.
agenda item. You can ask that question.
Yeah, during the second public portion, participation portion. This is just for items 3 through 18, the public participation. But you can ask that in the second public participation portion. You can ask that in the second.
Actually,
Yeah.
thank you.
The third, thank you. Okay, yeah, an additional one, Jake. Seeing there's no one else, we'll close the first public participation portion of this evening for agenda items 3 through 18. And now I'd like someone to make a motion to approve agenda items 3 through 18. Mr. Curtin, second. Mr. Harms? Are there any questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Those items are passed. And now we're on to the second public participation portion of the evening for agenda items 19 through 32. And before I just want to make one statement. Actually, is 33, Mr. Rito, on that? 33. Or is 33 on business? Or not?
No, 33
Personnel. First you said? Minutes separate? Okay. All right, yeah, so now the second public participation portion of the evening for items 19 through 32. There just is one change. We're taking off the leave of absence extension request until the next meeting, and that would be for the person, Ms. McKenna. It's withdrawn from this meeting, but the other one stays.
So it's agenda 19 to 32?
Yes, with the change to 21. Are there any questions? Anyone want to speak on this agenda items? If not, okay, so we'll close that public participation portion of the evening, and let's go to committee reports. Does anyone have a committee report? Mr. Dan?
I would just like, sorry, Dave. I'd just like to mention, I missed the last board meeting, unfortunately, and prior to that, the week previous, the finance committee got together at the board office. Mr. Grocio had set up a nice presentation for us to look how we're going into the following year. And at this time, we're looking pretty close to last year's things, which is a good thing, but you know, everything could always change. But I just wanted to let you know that going in before this new board, that we wanted to have some stability shown. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dan. Anyone else? And now we're on to the superintendent's report. Mr. Rito, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Miller. Happy New Year to everyone, and welcome. Congratulations first to Mr. Bobbin as a new member of the Board of Education. Happy to have you come on board. Mr. Miller, congratulations on being voted president of the board, and Mr. Holmes, congratulations on being voted the vice president. As the superintendent of schools, it is my responsibility to report to you the results of the New Jersey self-assessment on the CUSAC. And CUSAC, for those of you that may not know, is the Single Accountability Continuum District Performance. So that is CUSAC. And what it is a 3-year, actually, is a monitoring that the district has to go through every 3 years. It begins with a self-assessment from the district. What we did was we assembled a core committee to look at 5 areas, and those areas were instruction and programs, fiscal management, operations, personnel, and governance. And there are different standards that we have to review and make sure that we meet the indicators for each of those standards. We had several meetings to make sure, because there is quite a bit to go over and quite a bit to review. We met several times, and in our findings, we did very well in 4 of the 5 items. We were 100% compliant in fiscal management, governance, operations, and personnel. We were average, okay? And this is an area here where we do not determine how we score just based on what we do. We're doing some great things. Our instructional programs are top of the line. We're working towards making sure that our students learn every day and they use the best practices. They mix in test scores from the state also. And what they do is they base their scores or the results on the total population of the students from grades 3 all the way to 12. They put it together, and we have to come up with an average. We score below in some of the areas. Language arts is one of the areas that we were a little bit below. Again, when you put together the different subgroups, which is, in my opinion, and I've been saying this over and over again, when you put together and you come up with the results with different subgroups of students that are learning differently. For example, our ESL students or English language learners, also special education students. It's very difficult to come up with an average of 80% or above in language arts or math. Language arts more so because of the writing, and of course when there's a disability, when there's a language barrier, it impacts more so than math. So we were a little bit below in that area there. Another thing that we score a little bit below is in the annual objective measurement. And what it is you take target scores, okay, that the state brings up, and we need to meet or surpass the scores in each of the subgroups that we test. Again, subgroups could be students with disability, students that are in the ESL program, and so forth. And there we also were a little low. So when they come up with these formulas, they give us a score. We score 76% in that area. I wouldn't call it, okay, a failure. I think it's a good score, especially the way that the results are calculated by the state. What happens now is, this is our self-assessment. The second part of this monitoring is the county office from the State Department of Education comes in for an on-site visit. During that on-site visit, they come in, they visit the buildings, they visit the classrooms to make sure that the teachers are following the curriculum, the Common Core standards, making sure that they have lesson plans, making sure that we are doing what we're supposed to be doing according to the criteria set by the state of New Jersey. As you know, one of the things that is new is that the assessment is going to change. The way that students are assessed from what New Jersey has, which we've had for many years, to the park. So now, what happens during this time, maybe possibly the first year or so, is very difficult to compare one to the other. So we'll have to see about that. But I think one of the things that we're very proud of is that we are continuing to work with our students. We see every day the type of lessons that are being taught, the engagement from our students, the engagement from our teachers. We make sure that the students are learning what they're supposed to be learning. And I think when the county office comes in for the on-site visit, they're going to notice that, and they will see that we're doing everything possible to make improvement in those areas. Again, we're satisfied with our scores. We always want to do better. We always want to improve. And this is something that we will continue to work towards. Once the county office comes in for their on-site visit, I will do a final report. This has to be done now because that's what the state is requiring. At the end of the visit, we will get a full report and a full score report, really, from both the county and from the district. They compare it. Then the state determines whether the district is high performing or not. And we'll wait for that. The visit most likely will be in February, probably sometimes between the middle and the end of February. They want to come in before March. We're doing all the right things. And as I told the county superintendent is, we welcome you to come in and see all the great things that Roselle Park is doing here in the district. But again, the review is posted on the website, on the front page. If you would like to look at it, please make sure you go over it. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer any of them. Please call my office, and I'll be more than happy to answer any questions or any comments that you have. Okay? This is the report on the CUSAC self-assessment. Again, this is not the full report. The full report comes out after the county office comes in for the visit. So this is only a self-assessment that the district has to do prior to that. Okay? Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Murray.
Thank you, Mr. Garrido. Now we're going to move on to the personnel portion of the meeting. I'd like someone to make a motion to approve agenda items 19 through 26, 19 being district substitutes, 20 being family leave of absence request, 21 being leave of absence extension request, again with the change of the second person, Ms. McKenna, is being withdrawn from this agenda. 22, memorandum agreement. 23, after school instruction. 24, professional development preparation. 25, WISE, energizes math personnel. And 26, student helper. Do I have a motion?
I'll make it.
Mr. Gerton, second?
Second.
Mr. Arms, second. Are there any questions or comments? I'm very happy to see the 7th and 8th grade robotics instruction being extended, being applied with Mr. Chambers Flatley. That's a fantastic program. And also, I believe they do have a competition in January, this Saturday, is that the 16th? Coming out to the robotics VEX competition for high school robotics team down in the Rainey School in Eatontown, New Jersey. I believe if my memory serves correct. I'll have to double check that date. It's Friday, so it would be the 17th, I believe. Let's see. Roll call, please, Madam Secretary.
Mr. Balaban? Mr. Baumann?
Here.
Mr. Brockenstein?
Yes.
Mr. Dan?
Yes.
Mr. Gerton?
Yes.
Mr. Harms?
Yes.
Mr. Nelson?
Yes.
Mr. Vida?
Yes.
President Miller?
Yes.
On roll call, motion carries.
And now we're at the education portion of the meeting. And I'd like someone to approve agenda item 27. That would be education program.
I'll move
Mr. Harms, second.
it. Yeah.
Mr. Dam, second. Any questions or comments? All in favor? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? But that item is passed. And now we're on to business. I'd like someone to make a motion to approve agenda items 28 through 32. Okay, so agenda items 28 through 32, those being approval of bills 28, 29, approval of minutes, 30, secretary treasurer report, 31, donation, 32, grant applications, and that is it. Are there any, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Harms, second.
I'll second.
Okay, Mr. Vida? Any questions or comments?
Actually, Mr. President, with regards to number 32, the grant applications, my understanding is these are from, all of these are from our new grant writing services that we're contracted with. May I make a suggestion, and I don't know if it's possible, on future agendas, if we could also include the anticipated timing of the award. And I know that it's not possible on all grants, but there's always like a cutoff date, if you will. Maybe we could just come up with some sort of cutoff date or some sort of date so we can understand the timing of these.
Mr. Jordan, that I'm sure we can do, and some of them are rolling dates, so they may not be a set date, but just roll, but we can do that, absolutely.
Just so we understand the timing. It's good to see that
Sure.
we have some applications out there and see if we come back with some. Mr. Garrido, I don't know, are you able to maybe at a very high level for the public speak to overview of the grants that are?
Sure, thank
I
you
don't
for
mean-
asking. Yes, thank you for asking.
I don't mean to put you on the spot.
Because I knew that question was going to come up. Absolutely. The grants that are in question here, just to go over each of them. The Kinder Morgan Foundation Grant for Academic Programs. Just search. Here it is. It is a grant designed to provide support programs that schools currently offer in the following areas: academic programs, including tutoring, arts education programs, and environmental education programs. So this is that grant. So it's for support, tutoring and support of the students in different programs. one? Those? Okay, those, this right here. Okay, the Lowe's Education Foundation. This grant is to apply towards the courtyard renovation at the high school. So it's really for beautification of the different buildings. I believe the Ecology Club is going to be the one working with the high school to provide some upgrades to the courtyard, and I think is much needed. So it'll be a nice thing. Okay, the Hopi Hearts Foundation has to do with receiving additional AED defibrillators for the buildings, and again, I know that's something that we are always concerned about, making sure that we provide safety not only for the students, for the staff, in case of any emergencies. Okay, the National Endowment for the Arts. Actually, this is something that I think is going to work out really well for us because it's a partnership with the public library, and it will apply to for funds for books that our students can use in the school here and also in summer programs in our public library. So I believe that is something we're always looking to have a community type of partnership, and I think this is going to be a really great one. I've always said that our public library, it's great for our kids, and you know, the more books we have for them, the better it will be. So these are the grants, Mr. Gordon, that we are applying for.
Fantastic, thank you.
You're welcome.
And another good note of this grant applications, it's not just solely for our wonderful teachers to apply for as well. The administrators can also work with Mr. Guido and Mr. Salvo as well as our Board of Education members. Yep, absolutely. And just as far as the Board of Education members are concerned, on the New Jersey School Board Association website, there is a grant section there, which actually it's a service provided from our annual dues to the New Jersey School Board Association, and they have a list of grants available as well. So if any of you are interested in pursuing a grant, I know there's a couple I'd like to pursue, initiatives I'd like to pursue, and hopefully we can match up with a grant for our district. Please feel free to do that. And as Mr. Greeter said as well, it's available to the PTAs and the PTOs. So please, if you have any ideas, I mean, you guys, you're out there and you see a lot of the school, and we need your eyes and ears as well. So if you have any wonderful ideas, please bring them forward to Mr. Greeter or Mr. Sabo or any other board members as well, because they're our grant writers and they're working for us, and it can only help us. So we're looking forward to that. And one last thing too, I'd like to thank the Work Family Connection for that donation to our district as well. Yeah, and we'll send a letter out to them to help just any additional monies that we can get for our district to help our children. We'll take it. So thank you. Any other questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Those items are passed, and now we're on to continuing business. Oh, I'm sorry, forgive me. We have an additional one, and that is we have agenda item number 33, which is resolution number 33, and it's hand carried, and it's the board approving the CUSAC self-assessment that what Mr. Guido just said. Before we vote on it, thank you, Ms. Osborne. Does anyone have any public comment on the CUSAC self-assessment that Mr. Guido gave? If you do, please come forward, state your name and address, and what you'd like to speak on that assessment. Sure. On the assessment?
On the assessment?
Just on the assessment.
Just on the assessment. I'll let you know.
Okay.
When you need thumbs up.
Yeah. Seeing there's none, we'll close the public comment and questions on that, and would have a roll call, please, Madam Secretary, on the CUSAC self-assessment.
Can we read whatever we're actually...
It's actually in your packets.
No, I'm sorry, the actual language.
The board approves a CUSAC self-assessment.
Good.
Okay. Period.
Mr. Balaban? Mr. Bowman?
Yes.
Mr. Bruckenstein?
Yes.
Mr. Dan?
Yes.
Mr. Gerton?
Yes.
Mr. Harms?
Yes.
Mr. Nelson?
Yes.
Mr. Vita?
Yes.
President Miller?
Yes.
On roll call, motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. And before we go on to continuing business, Robert, for the record, it's Bowman, correct?
Yeah, it's both.
It's Bowman, Mr. Bowman, thank you. Okay.
I'm not that good.
What's that?
I'm not that good.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Bowman. And now we're on to continuing business. Mr. Greer.
As of today, there have been 2 students identified as not residing in Roselle Park or removed from school. There may be a possibility of 2 additional students at the next board meeting. We will let you know at that time. Thank you, Mr. Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Greer. And now we're on to new business. Does anyone have new business to report?
Actually, I do, Mr. President.
Mr. Greer?
I just would like to make note that I've seen and observed over at the high school fields that we've put up the snow fences to keep out the geese and other, to help protect those fields. I was wondering if we're going to do the same at the middle school field. I know we had talked about it last year. I observed with holidays driving through this area. As you cut behind the schools here, there was quite a number of geese on those fields. I don't know what the logistics are with the PE classes in the 2 buildings that utilize those fields. But I just want to put it out there, we could keep the geese off the field somehow. This is the time of year they're landing, and it'll just make the field, it'll help preserve them for the children come the springtime, and maybe help grow some of the grass back there.
No, it was just that when we spoke about, I guess it was last year when we started doing all the fields at the high school, we had the difficulty of putting it down if we went out, as we did with the high school, after the games, the football games or the soccer was done, and erect at the middle school, and Robert Gordon was still using the fields out here because there were some warmer days. Mr. Gershon, I think we can talk to our superintendent, our director of plant operations, and see maybe something can be done now. I don't know, only because the way the weather is this week, the ground's so frozen. But maybe we can see what we can do about something, put something in there.
Thank you, Mr. Harms. Mr. Gerton? Anyone else? Seeing that there's none, we'll close new business. And now we're on to the 3rd public participation portion of the evening. If you'd like to come forward and speak on anything, please state your name, address, and what you'd like to talk about.
He wouldn't miss this one. You got it, you're up.
Jason McGarris, 6 Club Sheridan in Roselle Park. I did not hear you mention item number 32, in explanation, grant applications. You discussed.
Yes, we read each one of them.
How much you were paying that grant person?
We are paying a flat fee of $1,000 a month.
$1,000 a month.
Not to exceed.
How much? in
Not
grant-
to exceed 20,000?
Yes.
Yes. How much in grant money has he or she collected?
Well, so far, we just started. We have 4 applications that have been sent out. We haven't received any information whether we received the grant or not.
So we've paid him already for her $1,000?
Yes.
Or $2,000?
Yes.
Okay. Just want to keep track of it.
Yes.
An update on the bleachers.
Ms. Garcia?
The Director of Plant Operations has spoken to her maintenance crew, and they will be checking each of the pipes in the bleachers to ensure that they're all safely secured by springtime when activities begin again in the fields. So they're aware of it. They have started looking. They did some repairs. Unfortunately, the weather, like today, prevents them from continuing on a daily basis, but we can ensure that it will all be taken care of before March.
During the winter time, when it's cold, metal contracts. When it's hot, it expands.
I believe I remember that from my science classes, yes.
Excuse me?
I said, I believe I remember that from my science classes. You are correct.
Okay, whatever. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Jake, I gotta move this up a little bit higher. I don't know how to do that, so maybe I'll just bend over. Okay. Just go like that, okay?
You want to pull that?
Just go like that.
Just take the mic.
See, that's why I don't say. Okay, Kathy McDonald, 320 Spruce Street, Roselle Park. And I wanted to come here tonight. First of all, I was a little disappointed that Barbara Sokol was not here, but I wanted to thank her for her years of dedication. We know we did that at her retirement party so many years ago, but then for her to continue to give to this district through the Board of Education, she truly will be missed. And we did want to, as part of the Roselle Park Education Association, make a public thank you for her participation on the board. We would also like to congratulate President Miller along with Vice President Harms, and also welcome our new board member, Dr. Mr. Bowen. And we would like to thank Jeffrey and also Mr. Miller, Mr. Vita, Mr. Miller for coming back and serving again. Thank you. I also, as happy as I was to see the robotics number 23 approved tonight, because it's a great program happening now at the middle school, going up to the high school competitions, I was equally as happy to see item number 22 approved tonight. As it put there, this was a grievance that was filed on September 16, 2011. I have been president of the association. I believe this is my 21st or 22nd year, being my 27th year teaching here in Roselle Park. And it was the first time we ever had a grievance go as far as it went. We have a new board tonight, and I hope that we don't have to go through what we went through the last few years. It took a lot of time, it took a lot of effort, just to come out with something that I really do feel if we sat down, which we tried to do back in the summer of 2011, and talk about it, none of this would have happened. I don't want to bring up negatives in the beginning of the new year, but I think we do need to be aware of what a damper it put on the spirits of our staff. We have a very dedicated, hard-working staff. And especially beginning in 2010 and 11, we had a governor that was bashing us. And then to feel that our board was not supportive. In particular, all of our teachers work very, very hard. But I thank God every day that my first 15 years in Roselle Park was at the middle school, and my last 12 years have been at the high school, because I don't think I ever want to, or I could walk in the shoes of an elementary school teacher. The teachers in Roselle Park, as any of you that have children or have had children, as my three have gone through the system, are an unbelievable staff, that the minute those little children walked through that door the first day, we couldn't ask for a more dedicated, loving staff. And they will do everything from 8:20, I believe the bell goes off, to tying shoes, wiping noses, putting on coats, sweaters, this and that, handing out papers. I can remember my oldest coming home from kindergarten after a week, and I kept on finding her homework in her backpack. So when I called her kindergarten teacher to ask her, and I said, you know, Jacqueline's coming home with her homework every night in her backpack. Is there a problem? And her kindergarten teacher said, Mrs. McDonald, we are now into the second week of school. And I have said every day for the children to come in, take off their jackets and sweaters, and put their homework in the box on my desk. Apparently, Jacqueline has not followed the third step, and so her homework is going unseen. And I first thought to myself, boy, it's 5 years old. But you know what? That was the beginning of turning my oldest into the responsible, successful young lady that she is today. And that continued throughout my 3 daughters. God bless you with the third, put you over the edge. But it continued with my 3 daughters throughout their 13 years through the Roselle Park school system. So I think to start the new year, and we know it's going to be a negotiating year, I'm using that N word again, but it is going to be a negotiating year. I think that we just want to put forth that we would like to feel appreciated and respected. And I think we lost a little of that in the last few years, but the association with all of their members and, you know, to the board, I hope from now on we can sit down and moving forward, we can talk with each other, because I've lived in this community now for 30 years. It's a fabulous community to work and live in. And I think when I first started coming to board meetings, it was an all-male board. I don't think we've seen that for many years, but I do know that it was always a board and administration and staff and community that could sit down and work their problems and celebrate their successes together. So for me, if I had a glass of champagne in my hand, that's what I would like to toast to, a new year and a year of unity. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McDonald.
So up here's 115 Bourbon Street. As we're reading the agenda, for agenda item 8, just asking why would it make sense to include the first meeting on the next year? Because the municipality does that, a lot of organizations do that.
Because it's still this board.
That's your answer, because it's this board.
It's the board going out.
No, but I'm saying, like with the municipal land use,
Correct, we always do that.
you have one date for the next year.
Correct.
So legally, there's notice of the first meeting of the next year. Just wondering, either does it happen? Right.
It will be a new board.
But right, it's just one date. It's actually not technically, because technically, that meeting happens before a new board actually takes effect. So maybe you can just add that in. Right?
Because technically, the question might be, and I would ask is that, is there a, you know that the township council has to have it within X amount of days from January 1st.
Right.
And you remember years and years ago, it used to be on January 1st. And anything that, any committee for reorganization, like the municipal land, that has to be done within 7 days from January 1st. So that's why everything's done. I don't know if there's a law that says that the Board of Education has to do that. I mean, that's why we set the meeting in January already.
No, but I'm saying, because it's actually still the old board, because the meeting actually happens before, the meeting occurred before Mr. Bowman.
No, actually, it doesn't.
No, if we call the order to roll call before the.
Because the Soka was on there.
I think the.
Correct.
So we should
When do we?
You just put it here.
No, I'm asking when do we now?
Oh, I don't know, maybe for next
Next
year.
agenda.
Just,
December 25th.
just something. Agenda item 14.
All right, thank you, Russell.
Thank you very much. For agenda item 14, are the committees already been the numbers of the not yet?
Not yet.
And for finance and curriculum, is it because there are no, I guess, subcommittees, or is that why there's nothing underneath them? Curriculum and finance. Everything else has kind of subcategories, but neither of those two.
This is what
Like, is finance everything?
Finance, well, I mean, I don't know why it's on there, it's supposed to be, budget.
Right. Okay. Just asking.
Well, there's actually, I'll point out something here. It's an error on the agenda. Personnel only handles negotiations or looks at interpreting the contract. Contract negotiations is a separate and apart committee that is not made up of the personnel committee.
Okay. Agenda item 30. Just asking why it's for the period of September 30th.
It's for the month of September, ending September 30th. They're done monthly.
Just asking was October and November.
They're not approved. You do 1 month at a time.
Okay.
So we're not in the month that we.
Right, okay, so I feel like it's November.
Yeah, no.
But anyway,
right, right.
There's a slight delay in the beginning due to the audit. If you recall, the
Yes.
auditors do not come until August, and then they file their report at least a month or more later. So therefore, we really do not want to begin approving financial reports just in case, the auditors were to find something that needed to be corrected.
Thank you.
So that's why there's a delay.
And just a question again, I'm just asking, let's say, finding out people. Did Mr. Balaban give notice that he was not going to be in attendance?
Yes, he did.
Thank you. And for the continuing business of the students, at the last meeting, you said there were going to be 2. Is this still the 2 carryover?
Actually, to carry over, I will announce at that meeting whether we get or not.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Tom.
Jacob McGillis, Post Treasurer in Roselle Park. Every time Mrs. McDonald comes up, I like it when she talks. She's really good. I think I'm going to be really good for the senior citizens. About 25 years ago, at a candidates night, you may remember, a slate of 4 or 5 people were running, and they met at one of the schools, and they were complaining about how bad the Board of Education was, etc. And they were complaining about not making enough money. Where, listen, what are they talking about? Not making enough money. So one got up, another one got up, and I felt bad. And when another teacher had gotten up, and she was crying the blues, and she said, now this is 25 years ago. She said, I only make $60,000 a year. That was more than I was making. I just thought I would bring that out. Bank money with the Board of Education. Is there any bank money left? And please explain to the folks what bank money is.
Are you speaking about the bank cap?
It's the bank money that was put away at 2% each year. They're using it, and now there's nothing in the pot.
Are you referring to banked cap?
Right.
Yes.
The term bank cap?
Yes, the term, the 2% that we banked, we used part of it last year. Actually, what amount of money is left from that, monies that we didn't use. I mean, it was X amount of dollars there from 2% for 3 years, so it was 6%, where I might be wrong on 6%. 6% we only used, I'm gonna use it, that number, we only used 5, what's left, is what Jake's asking.
As Mr. Harms was explaining, we did not use all of the banked cap that we were allowed to by law last year. There is approximately a little bit over $200,000 left in banked cap that we may or may not use when we put together the budget for next year. However, if we do not use it during next year's budget, then we will lose the ability to use that banked cap, because there is a limit as to the amount of years you get to carry that over. So we shall know within the next couple of months, and when we determine that information, we will share it in public at the public hearing.
By what percentage did the school budget go up for 14 and 15?
What percentage?
Yes. How much? 20%, 20%? How much?
It was a little over 6.
And how much is that in dollars over the of the millions of dollars? Our budget is presently is about 31 million.
29.
Right.
The year before that.
It went up like 1.2 million.
So it might be 29 in 13 and 14, 15, and 37. If it was 29 in 12, 13, it went up 1.2 million to about 31 something in 2014, 15. What will be in 15, 16? I mean, we're not there yet. That's why Scotia was saying that, within a couple of months when we sit down and put all this stuff together, see what it is, we hope we're going to get more from the state. That all applies to it.
I'm not putting all the negative. I certainly appreciate 20 years ago when things got tight, the board, the members of the union members didn't take their pay increase. They took it later on. I don't know how that worked out, but they should be commended for that. It's not negative, it's just bringing out facts that happened years ago. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. Yes, that's great.
I know we're not in the business area, and the business day, do they have a mic for a second?
Absolutely, that's great.
Thank you. I know traditionally, Mr. McDonald, the board doesn't address directly the concerns or the discussions with the associations when they come forward. So I don't know that I agree with that. So I just wanted to say here that I too am, along with the board, are very happy that the grievance has been settled. Personally, it was before my time on the board, so I'm not understanding the decisions at that time, but here we are, and the contract was settled and corrected some of those issues with the grievance, and then the grievance, as it's been negotiated out over the past many months, has been hopefully made right to the point where both parties can move forward. And I'm speaking personally on the personnel committee only. I think that our staff here does an exceptional job. The personnel committee is, along with the full board, is supportive of the staff. Just going back to, we're glad that we were able to put that behind us and move forward. And yes, it is a contract or negotiation years. Generally, again, the board has historically not addressed, public format. And I assume that's probably what will happen going forward. But I just wanted to acknowledge for myself as a committee member on the personnel committee that I'm happy, as well as the board, that those issues are closed and behind us. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Drake. Anyone else? Saying there's no one else, we'll close the second or the third public participation portion of the evening. And now I'd like to have someone motion to go to close the meeting. So moved. Mr. Harm, second. Second. Mr. Vita. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? This meeting is adjourned. We will see you next January 20th, right here at the Robert Gordon Gymnasium at 7 p.m. Thank you. Happy New Year.